Welcome to Empowered, Mind-Body Inspiration. The mind is the map to wholeness, wellness, health. The heart is the key to genius and inspiration. Join me and my guests as we explore how to release and rewire into who you truly are, unique, whole, and empowered. Please like, share, and subscribe. Spiral up, spiral out. Welcome, everyone. Today we have Eldon Dahl. Eldon is founder and CEO of Life Choice Limited. He graduated as a naturopathic doctor in 1988. His path into natural medicine started at the age of 10 when he became aware of very close people to him dying of cancer, and this made him passionate to make a difference. His specialty is in chronic disease and anti-aging. Today, we're going to talk about his new book, Natural Medicine for a Sick World. You can find it at www.lifechoice.net. The book addresses issues and sicknesses that plague not only our society, but the entire planet. Eldon is passionate about educating and returning the power of health back to the people. And this is one of the things that we have in common and what I love about Eldon so much. Thank you for being here, Dr. Dahl.
It's my pleasure, Jane. It's always a pleasure to talk to someone of like-mindedness, one that brings out the truth and awareness and try to make this world a better place.
Yes, very important right now. So let's start with, I like to start with, where did we come about the idea that we don't have our own power and the misconception that someone else is going to look after us, and and as a result, your passion to give power back to people?
Well, I think we've kind of lost way. We've came to the place where we just realized that we've been too reliant on having external means to take care of us. We've become quite convenient. We even, ask a child, where does food come from? They don't even know. So everything, even the most basics, they don't have a clue. And so we go to this place where we become reliant on everything at our fingertips. So we go into, say, a grocery store, you got 12 different kinds of ketchups. You've got everything in abundance. And then with our health, we believe that we have one avenue, one choice, and that's the medical route, because that's the platform that is supported by our medical system and our healthcare system and our insurances that pay for the medical. So we go this route. We just already assume when we go to see our doctor that whatever we have and have a feeling about ourselves or what's wrong or how we should feel, we go there and we say, well, this is what I feel. This is what should I do? And now, I'm not saying this is a wrong philosophy to take. We have to go to authorities that take care of these things, that have this expertise. So when they go there and they reveal what they have, what their condition is, the answer usually is to take a look at the symptom and to give something to treat the symptom. Because the medical system does not examine the origin, the core of why you're sick. It just deals with the symptom of what your complaints are to lessen them and then keep them at bay so you can function. And so this is that's the first part. That's the medical, and then we become under. We forget that we have certain alienated rights. We have an ability, who we are. We have a Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. We don't know the power that we really have within ourselves, and it is given to us through our Constitution and Charter. And so we just assume that everything we're told is the fact. And so by doing that, we just give away our ability to use critical thinking. And if we cannot exercise critical thinking, then we are at the mercy of whatever the dogma is being released. And we've seen this since the beginning of time in different religions. We've seen that in different political platforms around the world, those that dominate and dictate and enslave their society. And so we have total confidence and trust in those that are relaying on the news, the news reporters, investigative journalists. And so whatever they say, we just take it without having to think that every coin has two sides. And I'm always astounded that whenever something is reported, they always have a medical doctor there reporting on what it is or some disease control, but you'll never have someone from the Naturopathic Society, the doctor of naturopathic medicine, or someone maybe from Chinese medicine, or someone other point of view to just give their side on what the condition may be. So then the people can see and say, yeah, that makes sense. That works with your body. And I understand what they're saying. This is the reason why we've got to this place. And then we would have an open debate. But we're not getting that opportunity today. We're seeing the censorship on the mainstream media. We're seeing the censorship on social media. If you say anything opposing, then you're right away eliminated. And so what I find the greatest way to discover truth is to have an open debate and let the people decide on the open debate. And that's freedom of speech. And that's something we used to champion for. That was the one thing that news reporters fought for, so they could be able to tell the truth without prosecution. Today, that's the case. Everything has been shut down. We are led to believe that this is one story, one line, one dogma, and the people are eating it up. And this is where I say our power has been given away, and they've taken a lot of the tools away for us to be able to make our own decision. So people really, I think, for the power, they have to listen to programs like yours. And they have to seek out those that are trying to bring forth people that are experts in their field for a difference of opinion. And let the people decide. That they see what's being portrayed in the mainstream media, listen to an alternative. Don't worry, you're not going to burn in hell because you listen to something else. It's normal to see both sides. And then listen. What makes sense? And then from that, make a decision, an informed decision. That's all. The power has to be, claim your power and use your power to make the decision how you want to function and how you want to raise your family.
Yeah, I've always thought it was my own responsibility to look at all sides, get all information, and make my own decision, and listen to my inner heart and my inner intuition as much as anything. The choice should come from, my place of knowing. So, yeah, we're talking the same.
Yeah.
I find, since children are born for the first 7 years of their life, they're programmed. And
Yes.
for those first 7 years are very formative, and we're programmed to run to an expert as soon as anything goes wrong. So we're giving away our power and taught to give away our power at a very young age.
Yeah, that's such a shame. A child enters this life pure, innocent, believes in the imagination They are incredible. They're just sponges that they absorb all the things, and you look at them and they're just amazing to watch and to see how they view things and how they look and examine. And then rather than to allow that spirit within them to develop and to allow that to form their character and to walk through life being confident in what you believe in, we suppress it. First thing is, no, you can't do that. Well, you can't do that. It's not that. And we take away the ability for fantasy for a child. Fantasy is amazing. We need to have this type of an escape where we can just see things outside of the realm that is so prevalent in our adult life. We look for fantasies. That's why fantasy movies are so popular, and people just, entertainment is the thing today, because the day when you look out the daily life, it becomes very depressing, fearful, and a child, as soon as they get this indoctrination, then they are told they have to think this way, they have to believe this way. And then when you get to be an adult and you have all this baggage on your shoulders you're carrying through life, and then you have to examine yourself and think, are these my thoughts? Where do these thoughts come from? Are these my parents? This is what my teachers taught me? And I did this myself when I got to probably about my mid-20s. I got into this one study, and it was really opening on the family structure and John Bradshaw's series, and I watched that series with great interest. When I seen that, I said, yeah, it's true. That resonates exactly with me and my family and how I was slotted into this. And so I started to strip away all the things. Is this my belief? Do I believe in this faith? Do I believe in this religion? Do I believe in this politics? Do I believe this way? And I went right back to square one. What do I believe in? And I reestablished myself. And then I said, this is what I believe in. This is how I believe. And I took it the bull by the horns, and this became my way of living. And so you had to strip away all that, because we've taken that ability to be creative and to trust our inner instinct and our gut and our spirit. And we suppressed it through the whole life of going through things that you have to believe this, you have to believe this is what we're telling you, don't do this. And then when you finally become an adult and you want to know who you are, you have to strip all that away. All that we call education. A lot of it I call just indoctrination, brainwashing. And so the power, then you lose your power to rationalize and to think, because all your thoughts at that point are everything that you've been told by someone else to do. And is it the truth? What is it, your truth?
Exactly. I remember when my own girls were little, I have twins, so I had two, and they would often be sick together. But, even when they were really sick with something, with the flu, which has happened for many years, more than once a year, I knew that I was programming them. I was aware. So I would never act frightened, like, oh, we got to run to the doctor, or instead I would talk to them about how this was going to make their immune system better, and, that they would learn and grow from this, and they'd come out smarter, and, you'd lay in bed with them and have a nice day of snuggles. But, we're really programming some fear into our children right now, which isn't healthy.
Oh, no, it's... It's not. I mean, in my book, I bring out these things about my childhood, how I was raised by a very, very strong woman. My mother was very strong. She was ahead of her time, pioneer, I would call her. She had me on naturopathic prenatal formula. When I was born, I went to naturopathic doctors, and she had a way of any sickness that we had, it was short-lived, really. I hardly recall being ever really sick. Well, I did have chicken pox, and I bring it out in my book how we dealt with it back then. And
Right? Yeah.
a couple of days later, I was back to normal playing. So it's just now that every time someone says, "Well, I've got the flu," you do, or I've got something wrong with now with what we're dealing with everywhere is prevalent around the world today. I got that. I tested positive. How do you feel? I feel good. Don't feel bad? No. Well, what's the problem? And I'm not saying some don't get sick. Some got sick with the flu. Lots of people got sick. But we realized the ones that got sick were the most vulnerable, that had pre-existing health conditions. And we see this by what's going on today. We see that those that are the most at risk are 80 plus. And so their immune system is very weak. And we produce our immunity through our thymus gland. And I really go into glandular medicine quite a bit in my book. I show how the body works and how our glands work. And so when the thymus gland is a young child, what happens is, they are, your thymus is at its strongest at that point. And so it's just pushing out the T cells. And the T cells are very effective for killing bacteria and viruses. And they create within the body a memory. Every time it comes into contact with that same virus again, it recognizes it as an enemy and it eliminates it. And people forget that we have the cancer virus. Every one of us have it on a daily basis. And our bodies kill it. In a natural state of a healthy immunity, your body kills the cancer cells. Now, why is cancer, say, the third leading cause of death? Because not everybody is healthy. So that once you go into a place of unbalance, when your body is no longer in a state of balance, then you can have that disease and sickness comes in. Your T cells at a later date start to die off. And some don't have the same T cells. Now, when a person that is a senior, say, and they're older, then now you have your T cell production, but when you get to 50 years old, your T cell production is down to 15% of what it was in its prime, in its full strength. Then when you get to 80, you have zero amount because now your T cells are produced in your long bones, your femur. And this is why when you find someone that has, say, they're sickly, they're in their 80s, and then they would break their femur, it results in death. Now, why would the femur cause a person to die? Well, because that is where your immune system is coming now from your bone marrow. And this is producing your immunity. And when that's cut off, then what we have is we don't have an immune response. And the first thing we see is we get pneumonia. And so it's very, very interesting to compare with what we're seeing today, what is happening with this condition that we are battling globally. It affects the respiratory system because our T cells are low. We have none at that stage. Those that are sickly have very little. And so it's very, very important. And I take Thymus every day. I give it to all my family. It's one of probably the most, for our business, we really watch the Thymus. And if we run low, like we're running now, we slow down. We don't allow people to buy as much as they normally want because there's a global push on buying Thymus right now. And actually, vaccine companies are buying Thymus to put in their injections for preventing the side effects. And for me, I know it works because I used to give thymus gland with L-glycine to my AIDS patients. And I had some very, very serious AIDS patients with full-blown AIDS. And we would do blood tests, and we would watch and see how when their T cell count, and we would give them the Thymus, like 9 a day, their T cell count would not drop. It stayed strong, and they didn't develop ARC, and they didn't develop all the signs of the AIDS virus. So I know it works. I've used it in clinical practice with great success. So this is where we have to realize how come we become so sickly is because our system starts to break down. And in a healthy state, it's impossible to become sick unless you walk into some Chernobyl plant. But I mean, normally you're not going to be sick just walking around and living your life in a healthy state.
Yeah. And even if you are, you overcome it and become stronger.
That's that. We are grateful if we get that, because we're going to become stronger. We're going to build that immunity. So what we have to realize is that our immunity is localized to our environment. So, I mean, I have an immunity to things in my area, my surroundings. But if I were to go, say, down to Mexico, and if I were to watch a vendor eating off the street, or if I see somebody drinking water from the tap, do you think I could do that?
No.
I don't have that immunity because I haven't developed that in my body. I will do that, but I'll be sitting on a different throne for a couple of days.
Exactly. So, Eldon, tell us more about your book. So Thymus, you go into the Thymus in great detail. Is there anything else you want to cover with that? Because it's not something people know about, the thymus gland. Not a lot about it. Yeah.
No, I contemplated how I was going to put my book together, and I've been working on this for several years on how I was going to develop it. And so I started I know I wanted, and the title Natural Medicine. And then I started to look around, and this is really a sick world that we're living in, really sick world. And then I started to see that we need natural medicine to treat this sick world. And so I looked at what the medication was being used by the masses. And so I used their own science and their treatments and show how flawed they are. People that are on thyroid medication, people with cancer treatments. I go into my experience as a child with immunity, and I go right through it from conception all the way through and show how the immune system develops. To go in and then to show that there is a way that is different than what we were being told. People are unaware that there are natural means to treat the body, because why would we try to replicate in the lab what our bodies can do naturally in a healthy state? It doesn't make sense. Since when do we put our trust in something that is synthetic and man-made and override what is naturally occurring in our body? And our body knows how to design and how to deal with things in a different way. You can, like, that's where I focus, say, on thyroid medication. When you take a synthetic isolate and you put it into the body to treat a condition of imbalance, but it only comes in with one form. So it only has the T4, and the T4 must convert to from T3 to T4. It has to have a conversion to be absorbed into the body. So T3 to T4, and then it gets absorbed. But at that stage, does that fit into our endocrine glands? And I go into that in big detail, that our body works in a state of balance. You cannot take something that's synthetic and an isolate, put it inside a body which works on balance. So it works on balance with your pituitary gland, your thyroid gland, your adrenal gland. It goes with your parathyroid. It goes into your ovaries and testes. And it's everything that our body functions in a normal fashion. It must fit. But if it does not fit and it causes an imbalance, the treatment causes an imbalance already to what you're doing. Do you think you're going to have a healthy state from that, or a lifetime of dependency?
So yeah, and this is why you're saying it's sick world.
It is a sick world. It's a sick world because we have given our power away. We don't realize that what we have, these human vessels we have, are a miracle. It's a miracle from day one on how we are formed and how we develop and how we are individualized and how our body functions in a state of a balance and in a healthy state. And most people aren't aware that they what it really feels like to be normal. They just don't know what a normal functioning being is, because we are so prone to wake up tired. So we line up at Tim Hortons, where we have these Red Bulls, and we'll have some other drink. We get stressed, we'll have a shot of vodka, or we'll whatever our poison is for the day. And we try to deal with the highs and the lows and try to find a place of balance. But if we stripped all that away and got you down after you went through all the withdrawals, then you would see that now here's a state of balance. And so we have few people that are actually functioning in the state of balance. Even children I used to watch when they went to school, would come with their big cups of Starbucks, and just to get through the day. I watched that. I think that's pretty sad. I remember when I was a kid in elementary school, I would be running and skipping to school. I had so much energy, I didn't know what to do with it. But now they're on social media all night, and they don't sleep properly, and you don't eat properly or at the right time. And I go into that too, on how to eat, when to eat, because most people aren't aware of when to eat. They have no clue on the pattern of how our body functions on the cycle, 24-hour cycle, what you should be eating, when you should not be eating. And people say, well, gee, I can't imagine. I'm restricting myself on this diet, and I just don't seem to be losing weight. Well, because the body doesn't work that way. You don't just cut out food for a time period and then say, oh, I just lost 10 pounds. Oh, that's great. You look wonderful. And then, of course, right away, I'll go back into the same routine. No. That's not how we function. We got to see that our body works in a state of balance. When everything is in a state of balance, when we have our nutrients, when we have our micronutrients, when we eat at a certain time period, when we drink plenty of water. Water is very important. I wonder how many people really drink about 2 liters of clean, pure water a day.
Yeah, and that's the minimum.
Because how do you flush out the toxins and poisons? And like I use an analogy, is I say, well, if you have a load of laundry and you throw into that load of laundry a cup of water, and you put it on the cycle, how clean is that going to get? Now, because this analogy works for clothes, and the same thing, it works for us. How do you get your whole intestines and your bowels to start functioning and to flush out the impurities if we're drinking coffee or black teas? And every time you have a coffee, you have to replace it with 2 cups of water. People don't understand that. And it's draining you. It dehydrates you. So there's just so many basic things that people are unaware. Mm-hmm. We had an IT person come in our office a couple of weeks ago, and he's doing his work, and he sees me, and he knows what I do, and so he came up to me and asked me. He says, "My son," and my son is 17. He won't get out of bed. He's lost all ambition. He used to be an A student, and he just lost all the function. He's depressed. He doesn't want to talk to us. I said, well, how long, when did this happen? Well, it just started happening. I don't know what brought that on in his diet or whatever else. And so I said, well, what did you do? Well, I went to see a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist put him on drugs. And I said, well, what happened after he was on the drugs? He's got worse. And the psychiatrist wants to put him on more drugs. I said, well, what do you think that's going to do? Well, I don't know. If he got worse from the first, then he's going to give him more of it. You think it's going to work for the child? And so he said, what would you do? I said, well, first of all, I'd consult with your doctor. And then I would try to wean him off this product or this drug that is making him feel worse. Why don't we do something simple? Why don't you try our Cava? Give him our Cava. Give him 2 capsules in the morning and 2 in the afternoon.
Cava?
Cava.
Yeah, just making that clear.
Yeah, so we gave him he gave him the Cava, and he came back to do some more work a few days later and said, how is your son? He's out of bed and he's now talking. And he's quite happy, and we're cutting him down. He only has a half a dose now, and we're working with his doctor. And then within 2 weeks, he was back at school, and he said, "My son is back." And then this is what struck me, and why I say this to you today is, he says, "How would I have known this? How would I have known this? I had no idea that this type of treatment and medicine was available." And I would have followed exactly what the psychiatrist did, was going to offer and give him more drugs, and he was becoming suicidal. And so that to me was very sad to hear. Mm-hmm. That the level of awareness, and people have no idea that there is alternative medicine. Now, I'm not saying that you can go walk into a health food store and take everything, any brand off the shelf, and think that's going to be a natural medicine. No, it will not be. Trust me, right there. Don't save your money. Don't even think that route, because it's not the case. There are levels of quality. This is why I've spent the last 35 years into research and development on doing this. I think we're the only brand, the Life Choice brand out there, that really go into the science. And we use the same high quality as pharmaceutical companies do, pharmaceutical grade. And we don't buy our raw materials from China, and they're formulated for cellular delivery. As natural as possible and as pure as possible. So we use branded material. Some of the products for the raw material we'll pay up to 10 times more than what the Chinese material is. And like this Cava, we use 5-year noble root, and it has all the cavalactones, all the 6 cavalactones in it. And I have it all analyzed. I know exactly where it comes from. And our thymus gland, our thyroid gland, I developed these formulas. I had to battle Health Canada for 8 years to get this thyroid approved for over-the-counter use. I had to take a full gland of thyroid with all the hormones and take that and remove the hormones and keep the gland intact without any chemical residue. And then to go up to Health Canada and to the Food and Drug Group, and I had to get approval from the council to take it off prescription drug status to make it an over-the-counter product. That's the difference. You're not going to find that type of quality on the shelf. So for natural medicine, you must seek USP pharmaceutical grade. If it's not saying that on the bottle, don't waste your money. That's my best advice for you on how to become healthy, is read labels and know what you're taking. Know the brand. Don't buy it just because it's on sale and I'm going to be saving money because it has the same name. It's not the same, and you'll not get the same results.
Yeah. And in Canada, we have a mindset too, where everything is for free, and
yeah.
And I think if we don't have our health, we have nothing.
Nothing.
So you need to invest in what's quality, what works, and, in your own health.
It's paramount. I call it life insurance. What you invest into yourselves. And I say the same thing, and I go into it in my book on the diet. We are so trusting to believe that everything that's on the shelves are healthy. We look at the produce and say, well, it's on our shelves, and this is Canada, and so it must be healthy. No, it's not. Just because it's on our shelves does not mean it's healthy. We have to realize that you have to buy the best quality. So for myself, I would only buy a non-GMO. And why? It's extra money. I'll pay the extra money and maybe have less, and to have a greater quality that's going to absorb without toxins in my system. Same with eggs, and same with if I buy milk, I'll buy organic milk. And I see the mothers that are I watch them when they go in and grab the milk, and they read the label. And I know that they have a family. This woman has a family, and she's going to try to get them the very best, because that's the best she can do to fuel their bodies with the food. Because lifestyle and food is critical. You cannot be healthy without eating the right food and getting the right nutrients in your body. And today, because our world is so sick and toxic, we need to take high quality supplements. And even the medical system is promoting now vitamin D, the zinc. And I would, if you're going to take zinc, make sure you take the zinc picolinate. That gets absorbed. And then we're recommending, melatonin. Melatonin, and it's very important for immunity. I bring it out. We just released our newsletter yesterday on immunity. I would encourage everyone to go to lifechoice.net under our newsletter and read the one on natural immunity. And in this, we talk about how melatonin is being used actually in the studies for this virus that's going on right now. It's astounding, really, what's going on, melatonin.
Yeah. So just talk to us about melatonin and immunity. It's very important.
Well, the thing is with melatonin, and again, I before people just go out and start taking the melatonin off the shelf in a pharmacy, no, that don't work. Please don't. That's most of that stuff is either from porcine, and there can be toxins with residue in there, or it's usually the most cheapest grade that comes from China. I can buy it, like I say, about $170 a kilo. For the product that we buy, the raw material, we pay $2,000 US a kilo. So the total different science and how it's delivered through the pineal gland, and how we are getting our melatonin, our serotonin. Ours is produced, the base from L-tryptophan, which is a known serotonin releaser. So it takes a different pathway within the brain for delivering and secreting serotonin. Now, serotonin is extremely important for our immune system, and we find a lot of the serotonin is in our gut. And so that's why they call our gut the second brain. And so it has functions through their serotonin level, and melatonin is the hormone that must be used within the body. And so when you take melatonin, the synthetic type that's cheap on the market today, it will shut down your body's own serotonin production. And you'll be dependent on this, and you'll see the side effects. People will have side effects where they'll get like muscle spasms, anxiety, they'll have nightmares, they clench their teeth like this. People have told me their stories, and just horrific, and from taking melatonin. And when I tell them that has nothing to do with melatonin, it should do the very opposite. And it is the sourcing of that's causing the side effects. And this is people just aren't aware of. And so melatonin, because it's a serotonin releaser, and because it works with a circadian clock within our bodies, it helps to regulate our sleep cycle, our sleep and awake cycle. It also works within our gut to create and help with our balance of immunity. And we've found that we have melatonin that treats insomnia. And it helps for a study was done in the Calgary University, and it treats concussions. And we read, I have another study that I've just finished through, and that how it treats fibromyalgia. And so we look at that, and if you do a little search and look at how many patents are on melatonin today from cancer and you name it, melatonin is an immune stimulator that the body requires, and it's used because it helps to regulate your pineal gland. And your pineal gland is what you call the third eye, or the seventh chakra, and that is your spiritual gland too. And so this is where we find when your melatonin is in proper supply, it really helps to build your immunity. And what I do, and in my research, is that I find melatonin is also anti-aging. And so I take 7 drops of our liquid melatonin, our Sweet Dreams, strictly for its anti-aging purposes, because that's enough that you need to reset the pineal gland for anti-aging purposes. So it's very, very simple, but it can do so very, very much in the body. And when you take the right source, you'll get the results. And so we've had people that haven't been able to sleep for up to 25 years. One lady that worked in a health store tried everything. And one night, by taking our products, I never had that kind of a sleep before in my life. And so it's refreshing when you can really see you're making such a change in someone's life, but when they're taking the right thing into their body, how our body is looking for that. I mean, how do you put it? You know that when you're thirsty, say you're in a desert, and then the first thing your body's requiring at all the cells is water. Right. And as soon as you get that water, it's just like they're like a big sponge. Everything's just pulling it because it's waiting for that. And our body is waiting for micronutrients and vitamins in our body that it does not have, because our food is depleted. So when you have certain nutrients you have and you take that into your body, the body just sucks it like a sponge because it needs it. And I found that lithium was another one that we recently licensed lithium in a homeopathic sense. And the Japanese study shows that lithium, when you take that in a very low dosage, like the homeopathic doses, that it lengthens the telomeres. So it's, again, anti-aging. And of course, how it helps for those with that have psychosis. I've treated a few people, and I have the testimonials on our page on how they went from being bipolar and how they've taken this product. It's quite astounding, and such a simple thing. But if our bodies don't have these little things that we're missing, so it's not really as important as what we take in. Is what we don't take in is doing us the most harm. We need to have our micronutrients that are depleted in our soil. That's why zinc is so depleted in our system. Most people are depleted with zinc and magnesium. And that's why, if you look at these things, why we have zinc, no zinc in your body, you have no immunity. That's simple as that.
Yeah. So melatonin, the need to supplement for it, like often we produce it if we have the right sleep cycles and the right amount of darkness and all of that. And back to immune function, like we need sleep in order to have the right hormones and everything to heal in our bodies and all of that. So it's kind of like one thing happens and then another, and then, you don't have, like, the whole thing gets out of whack is what I'm trying to say.
It's all a state of balance.
Yeah.
If one thing is out, then it puts everything out. I give the example sometimes when I do my lectures is a mobile on top of a child's crib. And when you see that mobile and it's sitting there without no one touching it, it's just sit there in a state of balance. All you do is touch one and you watch them all affected. That's how it is with our body. When we start to have a toxin or a poison come in, it affects the whole body. And so you can't just then try to hold this one part. The other parts are still moving, really. So what you have to do is you have to bring it back to a state of balance. And that's how our bodies are. They work on that same function and principle, that when we take something in, it must fit. This is where I go into my book on how do you take a drug if it does not fit. If it does not fit, then what else is upsetting? And as I say, that most drugs can go up to 500 different side effects for one drug. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are on 7 to 10 drugs. So we're looking at anywhere from 7 to 10,000 different side effects or something like that. You're going 5,000 side effects if you're taking 10 drugs. They're all interacting with each other, and we think that is healing. We think that is health. It's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. Your body doesn't know how to deal with things that are synthetically produced. This is where we have to go back to nature, back to our roots, go back to a healthy state. It comes down from our diet. It comes back by our supplementation. And normally melatonin in our body in a healthy state, and you get the proper sleep, you have the proper diet, and your body functions at that rate. You probably don't need to have melatonin, especially at a younger age, but as you age, your serotonin levels lower. And so this is where melatonin as a supplement, and I say you don't need a lot. You don't need a lot. 1 milligram, so 7 drops of our liquid will be enough to give you your melatonin rate, to help your serotonin, and you will see that your health will improve. We have naturopaths that are using 30 milligrams for treating cancer, and it works. And I have used it, so I know it does work. But I would never take 30 milligrams of a store-bought melatonin, because that'll shut down your own production. Yeah. And it takes, as I said, a different pathway. You're not going to have the results that you'll get when you take a patented version of it that's different pathway in your body. So these things our body naturally produces, and why they are so effective. And this is where I think glandular therapy, glandular therapy is one of the oldest medicines in the world. They used to use it in Egypt. And we've lost our way. Instead of going to something that has the same chemicals and same hormones and same amino acid complex and profile, and take that into our body. That's why I say the thyroid gland and thymus gland are so effective, because when our thymus or adrenals or our thyroid don't have the nutrients, when you take a gland that has these within them, and it's a clean gland. You must remember it has to be the highest quality. And so we get all our glands from New Zealand. So there's no hormones and no antibiotics, nothing like that. It's the purest I've been buying for over 25 years from the same supplier. So I know what's in it. I get it tested even before I use it. So I know what's in those. And so when you take these into your body, then it has the nutrients. It has the amino acid profile. It has all the enzymes that the body needs, is requiring, and it resonates with our own gland, and it supplements our gland to bring our gland into a state of balance. So what I usually tell people, I said, there's not a drug, there's not a medicine, there's not a person out there that can heal your body. What we can do is we can bring the nutrients into our bodies, and the body, when it's in a state of balance, will heal itself.
Exactly. And so your book addresses, the mess that we're in as by getting so out of balance. I imagine this, you know, the the thing that we hang above cribs is just
Oh, yes,
it's in a whirlwind. Like there's no
it is.
stillness. And the body's desperately trying to find balance, but the more we try to fix it with the wrong means, the more
Oh, no,
out
it's
of
not going to
balance it
work.
gets. Yeah. And so, yeah, and like you
It's
were saying,
impossible to work.
yeah,
It's impossible to fix something. This is where I find that this whole treatment that they're pushing on society today, and people are believing that this is what's going to bring relief, and they're going to be returning to a state of health. How? How can you take the level of sickness that created this to be in the first place? Because in a healthy state, you would not have this happen. Now, what we must come to realize that viruses are completely normal. We should not be fearing a virus. Our body, from the beginning of time, has been capable of taking control and taking an antigen and creating an immune response. The next time it's stronger and stronger and stronger. And we see that witnessed in children and how they can fight it off in a matter of a day or two. And then we see as we age, it takes longer and longer and longer to fight these because we do not have the proper nutrients and we're not in a healthy state. So what is the way to treat something like we're dealing with today? Is it to give something more of a toxin? How does that fit in our microbiome? How does that fit in our endocrine glands? Something synthetic, man-made, that's never been done before, that have been, when they have used it in animal trials, all the animals have died. They're pushing a treatment that the FDA themselves, the director himself said, we will not be coerced, we will not be pressured, and we will not endorse this until the scientific literature and assessment has been done. So this is an experiment being conducted on humanity, and no one, and I repeat, no one knows what's going to happen because it's never been done before. And the study ends April of 2023. And everyone is the guinea pig today.
yeah. And how?
So I see what's out there. And I just look at the fear of driving in today, and I seen two people walking on the street, and I watched as one was approaching. These weren't wearing masks, thank God. They're outside alone. And so the one took about a foot and a half, 2 feet away loop from the other, and she gave the smile, like smiling to the other one. Do you know why I'm doing this? And I thought, oh boy, how sad is that? How sad is that, really? We are so under fear. We see only things that are one-sided. We don't have a debate on this subject. Everyone that tries to bring up another science and show the science, and we got hundreds and thousands of doctors that are trying to speak up. They're all been suppressed. And we have those that have signed declarations around the world showing this. We have doctors speaking out and they're right away attacked. And we have our politicians that are saying, we have to do this. We need to get this into everybody. And I ask, why? Why? If the FDA has not approved it and we don't know what's going to happen, then why are we pushing this until we know the results? Every treatment, every vaccine before time has always had 10 to 12 years of research because that's how long it takes to be able to see how it's going to be released and the side effects. Sometimes you do not see the side effects for 5 to 7 years, even up to 10 years. They say it lays dormant until another virus comes and wakes it up. So at this stage, I just ask the question, why? When people that are healthy, people are healthy because you can see the ones that are affected, the age groups that are affected, and the ones that are functioning and they have good immunity and they feel fine. Why would you take something on an experimental basis, which no one knows the outcome? What is the advantage? Just because they said you should, so you can fit in and we can go back to a state of sometimes normal? We won't go back to a state of normal, because once you go through this practice, it's going to be something that's going to replicate within your body in a synthetic means to shut down your own immune system. And it's going to work on a code system, a synthetic code that's on the same wavelength as genetically modifying. So like a GMO. The one thing that I find with the GMOs in when you're harvesting and putting them out in agriculture is cross-pollination. And this is where you'll find that you may have an organic farmer. He has his field all with organics, and you have a neighbor that plants GMO harvest. Well, if it comes to harvest, then you're going to have the pollination that's going to contaminate the other field that's organic. And so there's some speculation out there that this may happen within the human, because this is along the same lines. So it may cause like a cross-pollination to those that are not taking this jab. So this makes me very concerned. It makes me very concerned that why are we so pushing this? And especially now they're pushing it to those that are 12 and up. An age group that gets zero effect from this. And what is that going to do to their immunity that is just being developed to take all this? I tell you, I'll make this prediction that you're going to see autoimmune disorders skyrocket probably by next spring. You're going to see that. Mark my words.
Yeah. Well, my mother always taught me the saying, don't jump out of the fire pan or the frying pan into the fire. Like, right? And this frying pan wasn't even that hot. And people are jumping into the fire. I'm like, just get the information and get all information and make your choice, right?
I would say to turn the coin and look on the other side and say, what are others saying? Because I can see that we don't have an open debate. We don't see investigative journalists anymore. Well, they're like the dodo bird. They're extinct, it seems. And what we always find is, I love this argument, when you bring anything that goes against the narrative, that's conspiracy theory. I get the biggest kick out of that, because conspiracy, when they say that, is because they don't have an argument to make.
Yeah.
So that is the best way to shut it down. That's conspiracy. So to tell them how our body's immune system actually works and functions, that's a conspiracy.
Yeah. So Eldon, I always think, if it doesn't make sense, then we should probably follow the money.
That's huge money, billions of dollars. And I think I'll post on Facebook today, billions and billions of dollars that have been made. And I read a report from an investment company, and they were showing on how the stocks are for the different vaccines that are out there today. And what they're saying is why they pose this question and saying that why did we allow the vaccines to be going into 12-year-olds. And they said they thought it was because there's an abundance of American-made injections there. And they thought that they would create another marketplace for this. If that's true, then you're going to be injecting a group that's non-effective with something that is experimental, that the FDA said we are not going to approve. Now, the question that begs to be answered is why? Why are we so pushing this particular virus outside of the norm when virus has been with us from the beginning of time? And this COVID SARS is been with us. We've had it. We've had SARS. We've had H1N1. We've had them all. Why now? And why this push? And why even in an experimental way? And why is it pushed globally? And why are we having those that are healthy to suffer and not go to work and be affected? And why did we allow those most vulnerable to be exposed and to die at such a high alarming rate? Why didn't we use common sense? Why didn't we go back and say, how did we treat the flu when it was out? I mean, if you look at the flu from 2017 and compare it to this, what we're facing today, there's no difference. That was a severe flu and it took a lot of lives. So if we look at this and say, why now? And why to this extent? And why are we pushing it together? And we are suppressing really what the side effects are. You can't see them. You can't see really what the side effects are. And they are reporting them, vaccine side effects, to the government. They have a website and they're suppressing what the side effects are. And so when you watch the news, it's just complete fear. It's a fear campaign. And I just watched it for a few nights ago for a few minutes. I just looked at that and I said, I can't take this because it's just overwhelming fear. I see no hope. There's no hope. They're not giving hope. And when I remember when I had my patients come to see me, and they would come to me on death's door, right from the hospital. They would come, and someone even had the intravenous, and I may have told you this story on my last interview. But the one thing when I looked into their eyes is fear. She was so full of fear, and the patients are so full of fear because all they thought is death. And so the first thing I'd say is, when there's breath, there is hope. Never forget that. Always keep hope alive. This is where I think we are lacking today. We are feeding on the fear, and the fear brings more fear and more fear. And then we believe that we just have to follow what the others are doing because we're told to do this. This is for our own good. We're going to be champions for society. And the propaganda is out there. I used to think that these things were being only told in communist countries, and not we were going to be told the truth. When I see that, you don't have an alternative side to the story. You don't have other doctors bringing their point of view and bringing up and say, well, this could happen here. No one's saying that. Why don't they have a doctor and a scientist or a virologist there and say, because this is experimental, we should examine what could happen, the possibilities that may happen. We're not sure. And judging by the animal studies, we should be cautious, but we don't. There's no caution in this. It's just go get it. Get it if you can. Which one you get doesn't matter. And if you get one this time, you can take another one next time.
Yeah.
Where is that logic?
Yeah. And like I've always been taught that you can't tell someone that you have a cure, and you can't coerce by saying, like, without informed consent and telling them everything that could happen, or, you know, everything about what you're giving them, everything, so that they can make the choice. Yeah.
It's not there. We don't have transparency.
Yeah.
Even then, naturopaths are not allowed to talk to their patients if they ask them. This is even before this one, about vaccines. They're not allowed to give their opinion to their patients on what they recommend. They can't. They can't make an opinion. That's why they're coming to a naturopath for his expertise and his opinion on how the body works naturally. But he can't give an opinion. And this is supposed to be the alternative to allopathic medicine, and they can't speak. They're being muzzled. That we must question. Why?
Well, because I inquire, I know that if they have a natural cure, then they can't pull out this emergency medicine, right?
No.
So we can't search or ask for that, because it would destroy the money chain.
It would. I mean, we know that the treatments that they've been recommending, and that some countries are using, ivermectin, the other one, hydrochloroquine, combined with zinc. And I would say zinc picolinate, if you're going to take those, take the picolinate form so it actually passes and gets absorbed properly. So, I mean, but they're shutting that down. They're not looking at it. Why? Because they're not under patent. They can't make the money. Simple as that. Follow the money. It's always been. It's always been. I mean, I went into the wrong business if it was to make money. I could have been, a friend of mine, he went into the pharmaceutical side. Well, he retired like about 15 years ago. Owns apartment blocks in Canada, retired and lives in a big fancy place. I'll probably work to the day I die, but I know what I'm doing is helping the people. And I wouldn't change one day of what I do.
Yeah. Agreed.
So it's I bring this out in my book. I try to address it in layman's terms. I try to open up so they'll see how natural medicine started, where it originated from, how to get the body on a pathway to being healthy, what we need to strip away, what we need to look at and examine, how we have to exercise critical thinking, how we have to take and bring our beings in lifestyle changes, how to take back your power. Once you have your power back, you have control again. And once you have control, you can make rational decisions. And once you have control and your power, the fear is gone. And now you can be a beacon to others that are looking for what you have to offer, because you now are able to give hope. And today, society is lacking the ability to see beyond the narrative, and they feel there is no hope. And they feel the only hope is to follow into an experiment and be part of the global experiment, that's going to give us hope and return us to a state of normalcy. And that is the greatest fallacy I have ever heard. It doesn't work. If you understand anything about the way the human body was designed, how our immune system was to function, then you'll see this to bring something synthetic and foreign, to shut down our body's own production, to create something that we don't know how it's going to react. And this is going to give you hope. I just don't. I don't see it.
Yeah. I've personally felt fear for maybe 2 days when you're first told what's going on and you don't know what it is. And, you can feel that fear, but then I go get information. Just go and educate. And like you say, get your power back.
Yeah.
And we also have the training, so we know what to do for ourselves and our immune systems, but anyone can do that.
Yep.
It's not something that's secret.
No.
And we share
Not
it.
exclusive to our club.
No. Right. So that's about how long it lasted for me. And I just invite everyone to do the same. And I think your book would be a really good start.
It'll be a great start. I think it can save some lives. I definitely is going to raise awareness. And I do have, in the first part of it, I'd say it's for those that use critical thinking. It's for the open-minded person, because for you really, if you don't have an open mind, then you can't do much. You're already closed, and you can't advance.
And even more so, if you don't have your health, you have nothing.
Yeah.
All the money in the world.
Health is everything.
Turn that. Yeah.
Health is everything. And these elite that are profiting from this, they go through the same 24-hour period we do. Their body comes under the same attacks we do, and they're not immune to anything. They're going to come into the same thing, and the one thing that we'll all die one day. And how do you die? With a clear conscience, or do you die with knowing what you're doing? And I just don't know how a person like that can live with themselves when they know what they're doing, because they know. Tell me they know. They've seen the animal experiments, so they know this is still an experiment. So society does have their work cut out for them.
Yeah. Well, there has to be a better way. But and two, you're not really living if you're living in fear.
No. Fear gives more fear, and you pass that on, and your whole family's in fear. And I look at the sadness is when I see a child with a mask on. I call it child abuse. And because the child doesn't need that, their body's immune system is developed to be able to feed. Our whole system is based, our immunity, how it's based. Everything that we've done in the treatment of this has been wrong, according to how our body's immune system functions. We're supposed to gather. We're supposed to socialize. We're supposed to be outside during the summer and get the vitamin D directly from the sun. We're supposed to be near each other, and our immune systems, every time you associate, is being strengthened. People don't realize that. Oh, you're toxic. No, you're going to do me good. I need what you have. You need what I have. And we're going to be stronger because of that. And that's the togetherness. And so what we do is we suppress everybody, isolate, put masks on. And what happens is then we come into our winter. And then our winter, we wonder, well, where is our immunity? Because you didn't develop it. You suppressed your natural ability to develop your immunity. And so we went through this whole thing that you're going to stop a virus from spreading. Since when have they ever done that? Tell me in history, when have they ever stopped the virus from spreading? It passes, it's microns, it passes through N95 masks. People don't realize that. They're not being told the truth. The virus will run its course. It will run its course within 2 years, and it'll be done. And we've seen that. We've dealt with already 4 or 5 coronaviruses. They've come and they've gone. Now we got this new one. It's no different than the rest. And how we dealt with those should have been the same way we deal with this one. Why is this one called novel? Why do we put a fancy title on it? Why do we shut down the world to treat it? Especially those that are healthy and well. That even when they get it, it can't be such a deadly disease when you had it and you didn't even know you had it. I mean, the ones that are vulnerable, pre-existing health conditions, yes, I believe that. And those that have, compromised immune system already, even when they're younger, yes, because that can happen. It'll happen with the flu. Remember that. And where did the flu go? Where did that go? Did the flu go on vacation with global warming?
Okay.
I don't know, but we're preaching things of fear all around the world, when actually we'll look at the global situation and we're going into a cooling, not a warming. So we're just being lied to left and right. And I think the people need to take their power back. I would say the first thing is get your power back, turn off that TV set. Stop watching that news that is all one-sided. If you can find a reporting news station that presents both sides, fine. If you have one-sided reporting, no investigative journalism, well, that's called propaganda, folks. We look at North Korea, we look at Russia, and we say, oh, those are communist countries. Tell me what's the difference.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything controversial. I'm not saying anything that the normal person isn't thinking if they're examining the other side of the coin. I'm not saying anything. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I believe in natural media. I support the medical community. I support science. Everything I say, and I back it up in my book. I go through all the scientific research. I've got pages of references here, and these are not my thoughts. I pull up every reference. Everything is cross-referenced. So this is not a book of, oh, this guy's just blowing out what he thinks, and there's not. It's based. Everything is based on science. That's why I produced this book, because I knew that it would be looked at from all sides, and I knew that I had to make sure that it was going to stand the test of time, and it does. So this is the thing. We need to use rational thinking. We need to look at our family structure and look at our children and see to them, are you feeding them fear too? They're so vulnerable. Our family, we need to unite as a family. We need to take the power back. We need to look at both sides of the story, and then with an informed decision, decide on how you want to go forward. And if you still want to take the treatment that they're recommending, then good. Take it. That's your choice. Health is a choice.
Yeah.
And I fully support you in that endeavor, because that is your choice. That's how we should leave things. It's your choice to make how you live your life, and not only on this principle, but for so many other things.
Well, exactly. If it breaks down here, where does it stop?
Yeah.
And you're saying healthy debate.
Yeah.
And freedom of choice.
Yep. That's it. I could say that a couple of years ago, and everybody says, yep, that's right. That's right. I say it today, and they oh, how is he saying that? It's the same thing you would have thought a couple of years ago was just normal. I'm not saying anything outside of what's normal, right? But today, we're not allowed to think that way.
Yeah.
Rational.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to question.
Yeah.
Since when?
You just have to question how we're being programmed too, eh? Like, just realize that's another thing you're saying. Turn off the programmer.
Yeah.
And then start to look at information and make a healthy choice.
There's plenty of information out there. There's plenty of information to make an informed decision, looking at both sides. And I'm not saying listen to Joe Blow as an authority. No, there are very, very qualified virologists out there. There are very qualified doctors, medical doctors, that are saying things that are opposing to the narrative that's being presented today, and their voice is silenced. Why is that being silenced? Why isn't there an open debate? Why isn't this something that we look at and we decide and bring it out, let the people decide on what they're going to do? So that's the biggest question, is just ask why. Why is this so different today?
Yeah.
See what that question is going to result for you in your journey in studying it. And then you'll at least look at it. Don't just shut off the other side and just believe what you're being told and walk by fear. Just so you can go to a sporting event or go to travel.
Well, and if you really tune into it, you can feel the power leaving your body. You feel that it doesn't come from that empowered place where you make those decisions.
No. That's what I said. I watched the news for only like 5 minutes. I thought, oof, it was so heavy duty, because you come in from a place of hope and joy, and you're balanced, and you look at this, you say, oof. And I said to my wife right away, I says, can you imagine every day having this bombard you every day? I would be so depressed. I would. And so that's what people are. They are so depressed. Some are angry too, because they don't believe it. And they still have to follow go through the motions, because that's what you're told to do. And they get angry. So you have all kinds of feelings being released today. And, I think the world is divided probably half and half on those that believe this and those that do not. And those that believe it, they believe it on the one side. They really didn't open up and look. All I say is we should examine everything. We should teach our children at a young age to question everything.
Yeah, it comes down to that.
No different today. We're not saying anything radical. Just question things.
Yeah. Eldon, how do people find your book?
Well, it's available on Amazon. So it's called Natural Medicine for a Sick World. And I'm the author, Eldon Dahl. So you can find it there on Amazon, or you can find it on our website at lifechoice.net under shop. You'll see it there. And I think that the people will really like what they see. It'll bring them some hope and understanding, and it will give them a sight from a different viewpoint, from a naturopathic site. And it will show what treatments are being done, and it will show how flawed they are and how people are becoming enslaved by a treatment that they don't need to be. And it's a breath of fresh air, I think, when you can see, and then you can see with an open mind, and you can say, I could do that. I see that. And when you start to see things, sight is wonderful, right? And when you start seeing things, then you start feeling hopeful. And when you start feeling hopeful, as I said before, the fear has to go. And then you can start making decisions. So that's the best we can do, is to be a light for people to follow, and to give hope when people feel there is none, and to raise awareness that there is another way. And with that bring an understanding that it's never been a one-way treatment. Pharma is new. They're the novel stuff on the marketplace. Natural medicine, Hippocrates was a naturopath. He is the father of natural medicine. He treated the body holistically, and that was over 2,000 years ago. And all the doctors take the Hippocratic Oath, and that's from him. And he was a naturopath. He was not somebody that was given a bunch of synthetic drugs and stuff. He believed in treating the body as a whole. And so we must look at that. We must look at our body as that pendulum, and we must look at it as that mobile, and everything must fit, and we must be in a state of balance. We must treat the body holistically, and everything we take in must fit within our system. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't belong. There's a natural way that will work it, and we have to return and do lifestyle changes to bring ourselves to a state of a healthy balance so our bodies themselves can heal themselves and not be dependent on something that is foreign and synthetic and produced in the lab. Allow the lab, that God-given lab that we have within our bodies, to develop and create the immunity, and society will become healthy again. But we need to go back, and we need to recognize where the toxins are coming from and bring ourselves back into a state of balance and health. And from a healthy state, you can fight off any disease and any virus.
Right. And it's a paradigm shift. I think if we each take responsibility and return our own bodies to health, it will have a ripple effect, and the whole planet would benefit. And I think this is the way it will change. Yeah. It'll
change dramatically. We'll see a whole shift. The pendulum will swing, and it'll be great. And eventually it's going to come back into a state of normal. That's the state of normal, not something contrived and pushed on. That won't bring a state of normal. It's going to bring another state of more confusion.
Yeah.
We only have a state of normal is when we swing the pendulum back.
Yeah. Well, yes. And I hope that it brings opportunity and growth and balance, what you have written. Eldon, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jayne. Thank you for giving the platform so we can bring forth this kind of truth, and for being such a great spirit that can bring this forth. I think that we need people like you, because we need to have an alternative side people can see and listen to, and see that there is not just this narrative that's being presented. You bring on the authorities that can bring forth truth, and then the people can decide. Not that they have to believe everything they're told, but just that they can make a rational decision, an informed decision, decide how they want to conduct their life and live. That's it. And you create a great service. So I thank you for what you do.
Thank you so much. And when you have all that information, to go inside and then make your choice.
Exactly. From a place of power.
Yes. So for everyone out there, don't forget, don't give away your power to anyone else. Be the creator of your own life. Spiral up, spiral out.